From the Gray Man Briefing, this is a summary of recent developments regarding the Second Amendment, cybersecurity, protests, supply chain disruptions, national security, law and order, free speech, censorship, government oversight, and more.
For the second quarter of 2025, this is Update 10 to the Gray Man Briefing's summary of recent developments. Across the nation, localized developments include court rules gun permits can be denied based on a person's character in Massachusetts, abortion banned in Missouri, gasoline shortages in Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska, young adults banned from carrying firearms in Georgia, ballot measure approves excise tax on firearms in excess of 28% in Colorado, disaster relief updates by the USDA and ECP in Kansas, Wyoming, Colorado, and South Dakota, 11 people injured in a mass shooting in North Carolina, and 11 people injured in a mass stabbing in Oregon, with other mass shootings recorded in Pennsylvania, Indiana, South Carolina, California, Washington, Georgia, and Hawaii. A terror attack in Colorado, censorship and government oversight updates in Texas and Missouri. On a national level, the FBI reopens cases closed by the Biden administration. OpenAI's model blackmails developer. The Maha report drops. Telegram partners with X's Grok AI. U.S. collects DNA from migrant children. New visa ban policy to combat censorship released. Agricultural study reveals dangers of solar power on farms. North Korea gets a delivery of advanced weaponry from Russia. Ukraine conducts covert drone attack on Russia using wooden cabins. White House orders 10 new nuclear power plants by 2030. Federal hiring guidelines mandate that race and gender no longer be considered in employment. Emails show Biden admin knew of cancer risk in East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. Steel tariffs update and federal contract obtained by Palantir to compile data on U.S. citizens. Let's begin today with the Second Amendment. On May 6th, the Massachusetts Superior Court upheld a city's denial of a license to carry based on the applicant's unsuitability. A lower court had ruled that this violated the Bruin decision, but the state court disagreed, citing the Second Circuit's ruling in Antoniuk v. Hochul. The court found that while Bruin removed the need-based denials, it does not prevent character evaluations. This ruling may influence how other restrictive states apply subjective licensing standards going forward. Next, the Georgia Supreme Court ruled that the state's restriction on public handgun carry for individuals aged 18 to 20 does not violate the state constitution. The decision preserves the existing law and limits handgun access for most under 21 residents. Exceptions apply under specific circumstances. And a 2024 Colorado law, Proposition KK, has gone into effect as of April 2025. It imposes a 6.5% excise tax on firearm-related sales. This is ammo, gun parts, everything, on top of local and federal taxes that now can total 28.7%. Retailers exceeding $20,000 in annual sales in Colorado must register and remit taxes. Some exemptions apply to military and law enforcement. All right, now let's move into cybersecurity and privacy. Palisade Research observed that OpenAI's O3 model, a relative of the model powering of ChatGPT, altered shutdown scripts in most test cases. In 79% of trials, it prevented shutdown when not told to allow it. And in 7% of those trials, it did so even when instructed not to. Similar behavior occurred in the O4 Mini and the Codex Mini. Though public ChatGPT models are restricted, the findings raise questions about the future of AI alignment and control. Next, Telegram will offer XAI's Grok chatbot to its users, beginning with premium accounts. Experts warn that this may expose user data outside of Telegram's encrypted systems. There are a few transparency measures in place, but behavioral profiling and surveillance risk are heightened as Grok is operated by an external AI platform. Next, between 2020 and 2024, U.S. border officials gathered DNA data from migrant minors, some as young as 4 years old, and added profiles to the FBI's criminal index. Critics say this oversteps ethical boundaries and infringes on privacy. The database was originally intended for offenders. Next, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a policy to block visas for foreign actors who censor Americans online. It targets those who seek to influence or silence U.S. citizens through legal threats or platform pressure. The move aims to uphold First Amendment protections in the digital space. And Texas law mandates that websites with adult content verify users' age through government ID and display warnings about pornography risks. Violations can result in large fines. Critics argue it infringes on free speech and privacy. The case, Free Speech Coalition versus Paxton, could shape digital censorship policy nationwide. In Riverview, Missouri, a former city official received a subpoena for a meme referencing sexual assault allegations against the mayor there. The subpoena cited cyberbullying and defamation. So basically, what happened here? So the mayor is currently accused of sexual assault, and a former alderman in the area posted online a meme, like a picture, and it basically referenced that mayor and made fun of him or whatever for those allegations. So the mayor said, I'm going to subpoena you and use the justice system against you because you're talking bad about me. So the Institute for Justice called it an unconstitutional suppression of speech in what appears to be a government official weaponizing the justice system against a political opponent. And moving into government oversight, the FBI is redirecting investigative attention to 3 public interest cases: the 2023 discovery of cocaine in the White House, the leak of the Supreme Court's Dobbs opinion draft in 2022, and the placement of pipe bombs in Washington, D.C. before the events of January 6th. The Bureau's deputy director confirmed that these investigations have either been reopened or given new resources, but no updates were provided regarding the Jeffrey Epstein files, which remain unaddressed. The U.S. Office of Personnel Management's Merit Hiring Plan removes race, gender, and other DEI considerations from hiring. It requires agencies to recruit based on skills and constitutional commitment. The policy sets a hiring deadline of 80 days and directs top leadership to be involved in selection. And internal communications from 2023 reveal that the Biden administration was aware of toxic threats after the Ohio train derailment. Public statements, however, emphasize safety. The disclosure raises credibility concerns among government transparency. DHS arrested a Nadler staff member in Manhattan for allegedly concealing people involved in riots. This is a House representative. The event is under investigation, and the implications may affect congressional security protocols. Continuing on in government oversight, Palantir Technologies has received a federal contract from the Trump administration to build a centralized data platform integrating information from the IRS, the Social Security Administration, immigration systems, and other federal databases. Powered by Palantir's Gotham software, the platform is designed to analyze behavior patterns in real time, flag potential threats, and support decisions related to public safety and fraud prevention. The contract announcement led to a 5.3% increase in Palantir stocks, which is now trading at more than 150% above post-election 2024 levels. Palantir has also partnered with Fannie Mae to launch a crime detection unit aimed to combat mortgage fraud using AI, further expanding the company's federal footprint alongside existing ties to the DHS and HHS. Privacy advocates and civil liberty groups have expressed concern about the risk of mass surveillance, warning that Gotham's profiling capabilities could impact how government agencies evaluate individuals, allocate benefits, or restrict services, or investigate legal noncompliance. With this contract, Palantir is shifting from a defense contractor to a key player in domestic governments, raising questions about how its systems may be used by future administrations or the current one. Shifting into economy, President Trump revealed plans to double import tariffs on steel and aluminum from 25% to 50%. The announcement coincided with a $14 billion U.S. investment from Japan's Nippon Steel. The policy is aimed at strengthening domestic manufacturing. And moving into the terrorism brief, this one's pretty much been heard by everyone by now, but on June 1st in Boulder, Colorado, a pro-Palestinian man attacked participants in a Run for Their Lives event supporting Israel. The suspect used incendiary devices and a makeshift flamethrower. 6 people were injured. He was identified as Mohammed Suleiman, an Egyptian national here illegally after overstaying a U.S. visa. The FBI labeled the event as an ideologically motivated terror attack. And now moving into global conflict and war. The U.S. reports North Korea has supplied Russia with military aid in violation of sanctions. In return, Russia has provided advanced defense systems and assault systems and naval equipment to North Korea. The two countries signed a military cooperation treaty. Shared interests appear to be solidifying in a new strategic axis. Ukraine launched a covert drone strike from mobile units hidden in wooden cabins. Over 40 aircraft, including bombers and surveillance planes, were destroyed. The strike crippled a third of Russia's strategic cruise missile platforms. So basically what they did, this has been, I think, 18 months in the works. They hid all these drones in the top of wooden cabins that were then driven into Russia and driven near the different targeted attack sites. And when they got close to them, the top of the cabins would slide back and open up, and the drones would come out of the cabins and then go attack the Russian targets. Analysts warn that China may adapt similar containerized drone attacks and tactics leading up to a Taiwanese conflict by concealing tens of thousands of attack drones in shipping containers outside U.S. ports. Now, moving into supply chain and infrastructure, a new executive order sets a goal to add 300 gigawatts of nuclear capacity by 2050. 10 large reactors are expected to be under construction by 2030. The order also seeks to reduce reliance on foreign nuclear materials and support energy independence. Fuel supply disruptions in the Midwest led to emergency declarations from multiple states and the FMCSA. Causes included refinery maintenance, terminal outages, and high seasonal demand. Commercial drivers were granted waivers to extend service hours. The EPA has allowed E15 gasoline to be sold over the summer. Some gas stations ran dry or limited purchases, and farming operations saw transport delays. A 2025 Nature Sustainability Study assessed that agri-solar setups, these are agricultural setups, or when you put solar panels on the same land as crops and farming. So these agricultural setups across California's Central Valley, the installations reduced food output. This is what they found, that the installations reduced food output but improved water efficiency and lowered energy costs. Farmers benefited economically during droughts and blackouts. The authors emphasized the need to balance food, energy, and water in future agricultural planning. So they were helpful in the case of droughts and blackouts, but it significantly reduced the amount of food that was being produced. Looking at civil unrest, so for your situational awareness, there's been no decline in the weekly protests countering Trump's agenda and those that support Palestine. Vandalism, assaults on police, direct actions against the defense sector and commercial sector, and disruptions to travel continue to remain commonplace. Join the Gray Man Briefing for real-time updates on civil unrest and other critical information. Now moving into major incidents and natural disaster. The Emergency Conservation Program, the ECP, now covers up to 90% cost for storm recovery in Kansas. In Nebraska and parts of Colorado, Wyoming, and South Dakota, drought-hit farmers can now apply for emergency loans. Funds can be used for equipment, land repair, or debt refinancing. Support is prioritized by damage severity and available until January 2026. Now looking at major crime. Multiple mass shootings occurred nationwide, including in California, Indiana, South Carolina, Washington, Georgia, Hawaii, and Illinois, along with 11 people being shot at one location in North Carolina. The shootings often involved known individuals and were tied to parties or urban disputes. 11 people were stabbed, both outside and inside the Union Gospel Mission Homeless Shelter in Oregon. At the time of this report, all victims had been transported to area hospitals, and there were no fatalities in that Oregon stabbing. So mass shootings remain frequent occurrences, one or more per day nationwide, but also primarily remain isolated incidents among known parties, typically in urban areas, and are often linked to drug or gang activity. Some of these recent shootings may fall outside of those parameters, but most mass shootings target known individuals involved in internal disputes. The majority occur in low-income urban settings and receive minimal media attention. Only those that are random acts of violence, such as school shootings, shootings at a mall, theater, concert, only those draw attention and gun control advocate attention. But such random acts are rare. Anti-2A and gun fear-mongering activists see school shootings and the like as opportunities to call for gun control, while not actually being concerned that most deaths and injuries are linked to other crimes. All right, let's look at health and safety. The MAHA report issued on May 22nd, led by RFK Jr., links about 40% of childhood chronic illness rates to ultra-processed foods, chemical exposures, inactivity, and excess pharmaceutical use. It cites major increases in antidepressant and antipsychotic prescriptions over the last 30 years. The report criticizes the pharmaceutical industry's $4.7 billion in lobbying since 1999, and President Trump supports those findings. There are also other updates in this week's health and safety brief, so to get those, join at graymanbriefing.com. Let's look at a legal update here. On May 27th, the Missouri Supreme Court reversed a lower court's decision that allowed abortions to resume after voters passed Amendment 3. The High Court ruled that incorrect legal standards had been applied and ordered that the lower judge vacate her rulings. Planned Parenthood canceled appointments, and Missouri's restrictive abortion laws are back in force. And that is it for this week's summary of recent developments. Remember that these briefings are delivered in real time to Grayman Briefing subscribers, sent via the Telegram and Signal apps, and also via weekly emails. Please interact with this broadcast to help increase engagement and views. Thanks for listening, and as always, remain aware, be vigilant, and stay safe.